Hi there everybody, my name is Kate and welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. I am coming to you from Colorado and back there somewhere, hopefully you can see it. It's snow-capped, it's almost June, it's May something, it's Memorial Day weekend of 2024, and it's snow-capped back there, the Rocky Mountains, the Front Range. This is Canyon City where I am at the oil well flats, and let's get into the business of why I'm really here. We got all the demographics out of the way. These are very powerful mountains. They're very powerful mountains. They speak very boldly and quite loudly, if we stop and listen, at least when I stop and listen. I was called here today, just going out to Canyon City and let's play. And what I got in a download as I'm walking, pardon me, my dog's going to need a little intervention here. He's not allowed to eat live stuff, stop that. Nope, stop that. He can chew on the stuff that's already fallen, but we don't carnage on the trees. We don't cannibalize the live stuff. So the download I got is that we oftentimes believe that we know ourselves, right? I've learned something new about myself, all kinds of new stuff about myself, the self. What is the self, the capital S, and I found out it wasn't what I thought it was. All those things, all those ideas I built and all those labels that I'd given myself and that I took on, as wife, mother, sister, daughter, paramedic, singer, student, teacher, educator, facilitator, all these different things. Some of they are all true labels. They have all been true at some point in my life or not. However, they're merely labels. So what's the true me? What's the true self of me? What is that cosmic me, if you will? And man, some of the best ways that I learn that stuff is to come out here and communicate with these mountains and the natural world, because that's how I get the job done, to find out what am I really about, because I'm pretty sure that, I don't want to be about some of those things that I don't like about myself, right? However, any label that we've given ourselves or that somebody else gave us that we took on and were willing to embrace whether we wanted to or not, when we think very poorly of ourselves or we think back in our history and go, oh, that wasn't so cool, that the labels that we give ourselves, they're all understood through the matrix understanding, the ego understanding, the identification of what self is, and we build our understanding based on those labels or those understandings, and they're built from childhood on, from birth on, and right before birth, for many of us, we start understanding trauma very early, and chaos, which, we are all born into that chaos. Welcome to planet Earth, nobody escapes that, so we're all affected by it on some level, but we're building those assumptions and those ideas about ourselves and labeling ourselves based largely on what anybody else tells us, because we're getting the feedback from other people. And as we're coming into New Earth understanding, New Age understanding, the age of getting out of the age of Pisces and into the age of Aquarius understanding, it's really calling us to really come into a different understanding of what are we really, what is that true self, what is that capital S self, and go through those Carl Jung understandings, sure, because that helps us unlock doors into getting rid of all the shame and the baggage and the terrible ideas and things that people told us, that we told ourselves, based on what we did, based on what other people did, all of that stuff. We need to start somewhere, and so starting in, psychology is a great place, because our framework of understanding is built on the ego and how we identify with it or don't, and how we take, the criticism of other people, the trauma that we've been handed, the trauma that we've handed out, and taking accountability and responsibility for those different aspects of our lives. And when we're really ready to take a good look at that stuff, hold on a second. Pardon me, needed to intervene for the trees being benefited. Hondo is getting super busy with wanting to chew. He's a chewer, and that's fine. However, not the live stuff. It's like eating someone's leg or something. No. But anyway, when we are ready to really take a look at that, and we, build the courage, because that's really all it takes, is the courage to face what we've labeled ourselves and what other people have labeled us, the courage to understand that we're not that. We may have behaved that way, and that created that dynamic which supports the label. However, none of the labels are true. We are formless. We come from formless identity or formless understanding of me, formless understanding of our energy, and so we've come into form, and we have to, label ourselves things sometimes because that's practical in the world understanding. However, in New Earth understanding, it's less and less practical and less necessary, and more necessary to dump them all out, especially the ones that recreate the old world patterning and the old world trauma. And so if we're able to really test in me, man, that if we're really willing to let go of those forms, those thought forms that, really many of them are just negative and they don't serve. If we understand that the objective of New Earth and the New Age and the Age of Aquarius is that this is a completely different dynamic. We're into the divine matrix, the old matrix, the one where it was, dog eat dog world, and I'm out for me and I don't care about anybody else and all that other stuff, racism, misogyny, all of it, those isms, every single ism there is, it isn't really relevant anymore. We're in a transition period, of course, and so we're not going to just boop, end up on New Earth by not doing the work and rolling up our sleeves to get there. And so it's the endeavor of every single human being on this planet, no matter what they have ever done. We are all given the God seed, the universal seed, to get the job done. And it doesn't matter, murderer or priest or preacher or pastor or holy person or, poverty-stricken person, whatever, it doesn't matter. We are all seeded the same. We come in the same, we leave the same in terms of birth and death, and we all have that God seed in us. Now, we are all programmed or identified differently in our energetic signatures, and we all come from very different places in the cosmic spaces. It doesn't mean that we cannot make our fully realized selves out here in the 3D moving rapidly into 5D. It doesn't mean that we cannot. It means that we choose not to when we choose not to, and that is based in fear primarily. As a matter of fact, I don't really know of any other dynamic except fear whenever I chase it down in my own mind anyway, that why would I want to hang on to that idea? Why would I want to hang on to, that assumption? Why wouldn't I question that? What about that assumption, bothers me so much that I can't take a look at that and possibly change my mind that, yeah, that was, really not a very good positively held belief. That's not good. It doesn't serve me or the collective of humanity. Then how about I let that go? And that's a matter of getting a hold of the ego. And the ego is nothing more than a mind program. That is not who we are. It's who we told ourselves we were. It's who we were told we were, but it's not who we are. Who we are, when we get down to those cosmic spaces, we find out many, many times. As a matter of fact, I have not ever met anybody on their journey, like deep into it, on their journey that hasn't expressed some sense of formlessness and, that I'm out here in the outer spaces of my mind and the cosmic spaces, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and it sounds a lot like imagination. And to me, imagination is the station where we go to find out where we can best identify that energy signature, the energy pattern. What is it about me, and how can I best bring that into my identity? Because we're not going to be suddenly formless. We're going to still have our avatars. We're still going to have names, and we're still going to have some titles and stuff. It's when we egoically, identify with them and really hang on to them and can't get into that sense of Buddha detachment with it, that it becomes a problem. So if you think about in terms of the matrix mind, the ego, it's simply a program of the mind. And so how do we deal with making updates on that sucker so that we can, delete that and do a little, antivirus on it? We get some malware in there. We need to dump that anywhere that we feel like we have to be this title. If I'm not this, if I'm not a doctor, I'm not anything. If I'm not a something, I'm not an anything. If I'm not a something really important out here, if I'm not noticed as being important, if I'm not noticed as being a certain thing, if I can't have that, then I am nothing. Those are sentences and postulations that we can look at and say, is that really the truth? And I mean capital T truth, not take what you want to and leave the rest. I mean get to the truth and leave the rest of that stuff behind, because we can really narrow down conversations usually when we're getting past our own mind and we're not allowing the mind and the conversation of other people to get us bogged down in the confusion and the delusion and the illusion of what all that old matrix is about. The divine matrix is about get a hold of that system, get a hold of that mind, that computer system, learn how to operate that system, not manipulate it, but manage it. How do I manage these thoughts that are coming in here? My ego is trying to tell me that I need to be upset about that, or that I feel offended about that, or I need to do this. That's simply the programming. It's not who we are. Who we are could care less. The God seed, that universal seed, doesn't have an opinion about it. It's when we put our assumptions on it, our mind matrix on it, our operating system on it, that we start caring a whole lot about different facets of our life. And that is not to say that we do not have preferences or that we just roll with the tide and take whatever comes along, because we'll get caught up in the illusion, delusion, and all the, misunderstanding, matrix misunderstanding of other people. So when we're on our journey in a very conscious way, though, 555, thank you, change, quite alive, thank you, Team Indigo, break up all those paradigms, that when we're on our way in a very conscious understanding and we're choosing very consciously, we can consciously choose to interview what is coming through our mind, and I highly encourage people to do that. I highly encourage myself, especially whenever I feel myself getting bogged down and starting to feel irritable, angry, cranky, all that stuff. Like, that's not the baseline that I really live at anymore. And so when it swings in, like, what is that? Because that's clearly about me. If I'm having an over the top reaction to something, that's about me. It's always about me, and it also means that my response to something is mine as well. Responses, I kind of categorize those as, oh, I see that, that's uncomfortable, and that's not my junk, I gotta go now, as opposed to a reaction of starting to judge. Well, that's terrible what they're doing, they shouldn't have said that, all this other stuff. They're very different to me. I recognize those very differently. When I start getting involved in the judgment, the shame, and the of somebody else or myself, it's always about me, no matter what is going out there in the 3D. Damn, I don't want to believe it sometimes, and I can definitely discern that that's some behavior that I'm not involved in that, and I don't want to be involved in it, and I'm not going to be involved in it. However, I can drop it right there and leave the sentence right where it is with, it's not mine to mess with, and I just keep on moving it, keep on grooving it, and don't stop dancing long enough to, judge someone else's behavior or take on any kind of a thought pattern of that at all, because I'm just feeding that little malware that's already apparently had a minute and got loose. So we need to chase that little virus down, that little sucker, chase it down and say, nah, I'm ready to release this and let it go, and make it a very audible statement, a very readily understood statement to that mind up there that that's not me. That's just an ego glitch somewhere, because I'm consciously choosing to change into the divine matrix. I'm not willing to play this old harsh game this old way. We're coming into New Age understanding. That means every facet of everything that we do is going to be shifted and changed. Some of those shifts are huge and some of them are smaller. However, every small one makes a difference just as much as the big ones do. It's just a matter of how we're perceiving them and when we're arriving at them. And no one is getting there faster than anyone else necessarily. It roots back into something that has nothing to do with me except understanding my path. And when I start wanting to get out there and make judgments about, well, they're lower vibrational beings, blah, blah, blah. We are all high vibrational beings that have been plunked into an avatar, and we behave in very low vibrational ways, which makes that dichotomy and that disparity very uncomfortable for a lot of us. And we fight ourselves and our ego and everybody else out here as well hard sometimes, because we don't understand that our kernel, our core, and our very center of our soul, we know exactly where we come from, which is pure love. And when we're out here doing stuff, it's based on reincarnation, if we believe in that. It's based on where we have come from, how much karma we have in this lifetime or any other, if we support the idea that we bring some in, what our timeline is doing. It depends on our mission here, if we have one, and how big is that mission. Not better, not better, just how big is that mission? How much responsibility do we have globally to be working our little quantum waves of healing? Are we here to even do that? Are we here to learn some other stuff? And man, the truth of it is, no matter how much, a prophet, a seer, and, all this magical clairvoyant stuff I may have, I turn it into me a whole lot more than I want to turn it out into anybody else. Because even though I can see, I'm seeing one facet of a human being, and I don't go digging into Akashic Records or their closet or anything else to know, unless somebody's asking me very specifically, which happens very rarely. Then I don't go searching for that information, because I'm busy wondering why I want to. I need to get inside me and say, what is it about me that's wanting to get busy with trying to understand what their journey is? Their journey is theirs, and the less I mess with that, touch that, or put my intention or attention on it, the better, because it leaves that person completely sovereign. If anything about the age of Aquarius is important, it's that spiritual sovereignty is the most important thing. The moment that we get a hold of that mind matrix, the old matrix, and move into divine matrix, and we understand how to manage our ego and our mind, intrinsically one and the same, when we learn how to do that, then we are taking accountability and full responsibility of our sovereignty, and we have gained spiritual sovereignty. We'll move a whole lot faster and we'll care a whole lot less about what's going on out here. And because we're operating in that purest state of where we can be, high vibrationally, whatever, we're in that less label stuff where we are in alignment with what the best timeline and the highest that we can be, the highest mind that we can be, then we're going to be attracting those people around us to be having those experiences. And anywhere we're bumping up against something or we're having that's a minute for us to be able to go to school for a second. It can sound laborious, it can sound boring, it can sound like it's no fun. However, when I hit those spots, because I'm more willing now, it took a minute, to surrender to them, I know that the quickest way that I can get through them is surrender to this process, surrender to it now, and stop, sacred cow, with waiting on why would you not? Well, because I want to fight about this, or I want to be butthurt about this, or I want to do this. 1111, thank you. And it's necessary to listen. I am not saying that people cannot be triggered or should not be triggered, or that I'm not triggered sometimes. I've just learned that the quicker I stop fighting this process, this is all working always for my good as well as everybody else on this planet. It's always working for our higher good, always, always, always. And so the quicker that I surrender to that process and ask, okay, what is this about? Why am I feeling this sudden reaction, as opposed to, a response of, that's what it is, I gotta go. Or, hey, that's really cool, gotta go. I don't land anywhere very long, because I'm looking to always be seeking the evolution of my own soul, and so the quicker I can yield to that and just say, this is bothering me, I'm having a reaction to it. I may need to grieve for a minute. I may need to experience that rage of, oh my gosh, I'm having a flashback, or I'm having a moment with that person represents a timeline and a theme and some, old baggage that apparently needs a minute. That little part of me wants sovereignty so much that it's saying, please see me, please hear me, and please deal with me. And so the quicker that I answer to the call to that, the quicker I reach inside to those little divine parts that just haven't been brought into the light and into the understanding of what we're truly about, that, we're hanging around an identity somewhere, that I'll go retrieve that little soul part that's confused and doesn't know how to work its way through that old matrix, pull it up into the divine matrix immediately, as quickly as possible, without getting stuck anywhere, and know that that is the path, and we have all the support that we could possibly need or want. It's a matter of changing some of those thought patterns, changing all of them for me, that change all those old thought patterns that it couldn't possibly be, then nobody loves me, but all that stuff that just doesn't serve. Every single one of those patterns that didn't serve, and it's not going to serve by continuing to ruminate on it and perseverate on it and wonder why it happened, So I've learned to ask why a whole lot less and just get to what is the lesson in this, because if I'm stuck in some place, landed very long, going, then the question becomes very quickly, as quickly as possible, that what is it that I'm to learn here? Because clearly there's some part of me that does not understand this yet. And the more I gather that into sovereignty, the more peace, and the more understanding, the more allowance, and the more acceptance, forgiveness, compassion, kindness, all that juicy good stuff that I can be living in, existing in, and exuding most of the time, so that I can notice when I'm out of line. It's a lot easier these days. 10 years ago, I couldn't have told you any of this stuff. However, I fought hard against, any kind of soul evolution. Apparently, the evolution revolution wasn't taking hold until I was absolutely smacked to the ground. Like, you are on your last breath here. What do you want worse, or what do you want more? To be right about this, or to be victimized by this, or to learn from it? And man, I was hard-headed, so I like to put it out there, as many different ways, 1414, as I know how. 5-5, thank you. That it is possible to make radical change and radical shifts in our minds, and we've got all kinds of energetic support. We've got portals opening up everywhere, solar flares, the Pleiadian Council, we've got all kinds of stuff, the Rocky Mountains, and wherever you live. It doesn't matter if you look at Rocky Mountains or not. It's whatever sings to you, whatever calls to you, and it can be anything. The spirit of the universe, the vibration of the universe can come through anything. If we're willing to believe that, then we've opened up huge portals and we are therefore opening ourselves up to huge understanding and huge shifts that are possible. So it's a matter of just retraining that monkey mind up there, that old, the old matrix mind that says, nah, that can't happen, or not me, or I don't deserve that. We all deserve it. I don't care who we are, no matter how badly we behaved. We're not all going to end at the same place, obviously in our spiritual sovereignty with the more karma we've built up, especially if we're not working to clear that karma. However, anybody that's had a credit card bill of $25,000 that thought I could never pay that off, they get there eventually. It's a matter of how much money are you paying on it, to clear it, how intentionally are you working to clear it, and how much are you charging that card up, because the cosmic credit card, you can charge that indefinitely, and it's really getting into the point now where we're not really having much room before we're expected to make some payment back on that. We used to get away with a lot of stuff in Karma Land better than we can these days, because the earth is shifting and the vibrations are shifting, and we're coming with so many, astrological alignments, cosmological events and stuff that we really don't have a lot of, turnaround time on. Yeah, it's payment, it's payment, it's payment. And the quicker that we, maybe take the ego hit or the butt hurt or whatever it is of, man, why'd that happen? I don't know. Just how can I learn from this, rather than taking the stance of why did that happen to me? That has a very victim feeling to me. It did for me anyway. That stop asking that question, Kate. Maybe ask, what can you learn about this, rather than getting stuck in all that ruminating of, oh, poor me, this always happens, and it did. But what you need to learn from it is stop getting stuck in it by asking, how can I get out of it? So I hope that's been helpful to you in some way. I'm going to go and bond with my mountain family again some more, and my dog's had a chance to chew on some dead stuff, some little bit of life stuff, and take a little nap. So we've had plenty of time that we can get going and open up the mind even more and expand to hear the voice of God, the voice of the universe, and everything that I see, that I can hear it. And then I open myself up to hear it and ask for the temperance to, even though I personally don't know how those energies all work, I do ask for the protection of, even though I want to, know it all, please, protect me enough that I'm not trying to drink from a fire hose and blow out my own mind with all of this. So, I sit with the question of, I don't know a lot, and assume that my team will let me in on the rest of this as soon as I'm actually ready to digest that. However, it's never meant to do anything to cause me harm. 1717, 88. It's never for harm. It's always for good. So I hope, as I said, that this has been helpful for you, and I hope you enjoy your day no matter what part of the day you're in. And remember, get within your skin, because you're divine. It's absolutely gorgeous and absolutely fine, and knows how to motor you around just fine if we can just let go of that old monkey mind, let go of the old matrix mind, and get into the divine mind. You already know how to do it. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you again next time, friends. Mwah! Bye.